their sensitive sensibilities.
Okay. Is it on?
It is.
Hi. All right, thanks for coming. Thanks to Gangplank for having me. Thanks to my boss for asking me and, giving me this very terrifying thing to do.
Right, and thanks for coming back after the first attempt.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
Rescheduling that.
Yes, well, that was actually my fault. I was sick. I apologize. So,
Oh, no need.
I am Traci Miller. I work for Intuit. I am a visual designer. And today I'm going to be talking to you about basically design for dummies. You don't have to be a designer to actually design a nice website. And I know that as a developer, business folk, finding a designer and knowing if it's the right design for you is a bit more difficult, a little challenge. So today we're going to be talking about the rules and the philosophy behind good design. You don't have to obviously be a designer to know the rules or the philosophies. It's just a matter of how you think and knowing what you want. So, let's see. So we have a small design for small business, smart design for smart business. Anybody can have a decent looking website. It doesn't matter if you're a one-man show or if you have a large company. Know it fits you, know it fits your user, and know the rules. Yes, there are rules. So, I'm going to go through these slides. If you have any questions, you can ask me anytime you want. Don't hold till the end. Okay? Cool. Business builds a website to offer something. What are you offering? You've got a range of things out there that you can offer. You've got a product, you've got information, you've got a function that you're offering. It doesn't matter. You're offering something that your customer wants. Your customer's on your website because they want what you're offering. Pretty simple. 3 things that will make a customer take your offer. Your offer is believable. Your offer is trustworthy. Your offer is exciting. Okay? It's very simple. If your customer doesn't believe you, doesn't trust you, or isn't excited about what you've got, they're going to move on. And you've got about 2 seconds. Now, it doesn't matter what you built. Best search function, best my account, best anything. Those 3 things, 2 seconds, your customer's gone. So what does your design say? Because that's where you get your 2 seconds. First off, you have to know who you're talking to in those 2 seconds and where your customer actually lives. Your first customer, in red, because this is, of course, the hardest one, is the anti-computer internet person. This is the person who doesn't like to be on the computer, is kind of afraid of it. They are the most fierce fool. Sorry about the misspelling. They're kind of lost. They read everything. This person scours the information. I do tech help for my dad via phone because he's in Tennessee. And he reads to me every single word of an error dialogue pop-up. Okay? They read everything. They believe. They are susceptible. That's why these folks are also the ones that are always getting viruses, because they see things and they click on them, and they read them and they believe them. They have a very limited user interaction. For as much time as they might spend reading, they don't do a lot because they're kind of afraid to click. Examples are, of course, grandparents and non-technical professionals. In green, casual internet user. This is probably your biggest user. The reason being is because they are on the internet, even though they're not necessarily well versed in it. They have appropriate respect for what is out there. They are leadable in that they can be, they'll believe, but they have the ability to sort of pick and choose what they want. Scans first, reads relevant information. This is pretty typical. People scan the page. They find what they want, and then they deep dive into the content that's there. Dismisses or believes according to personal interests. Everybody's seen the phenomenon of, hey, I read on somebody's blog the other day, and then they spout out something that sounds totally ridiculous. But because they read it on that blog, they believe it. And you tell them something that you read on somebody else's blog, if they're not interested in it, they don't care. If they find something else that they're interested in, they'll believe it. If they're not interested in it, they're a little bit more skeptical. Escalated user interaction. They have more user interaction. They'll spend more time on the sites. They'll do more things on the sites than the anti-computer internet person. These people are the general professionals, tech professionals, but not internet. Kids, young adults coming up in schools who have access to labs and spend a lot of time on computers. Students, again. Any others? You generally get the idea?
Yeah.
Okay. Tech nerd, it's you guys, right? You guys are the most savvy and the most confident. Instinctive, almost subconscious navigation. You just don't even look at the sites anymore, you kind of know where you're going. Even if you have never been there before, you know right where to look to find what you want to do. You scan the first 2 words and move on. You dismiss or prevent marketing. Any kind of leadable thing, people who are susceptible to some kind of special interest, you don't even look there. Condensed user interactions. You guys zoom through sites, click, click, click. You don't even read. Us. Examples, us. So these are your users. The reason that the tech nerd is in yellow is because you can lose them quicker than you can with a casual user, because you are not looking at anything. Okay? So if I'm going to put something in front of you guys, I got to make it really cool, right? Okay. So, know the rules. Don't want to reinvent the wheel. There are rules out there that you can follow, and it's super simple, whether you're doing it yourself or you're working with a designer and you want to kind of know, are they doing the right thing? The internet is a tool for your user to get what they need, and you have it for them, so help them find it. So, what I've done, my options were we could pull up a whole bunch of websites and trash everybody else's website. Or, because that's me.
That's fun.
That is fun, right? I know, we love that. But
Except if it's one of our sites.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So instead, what I wanted to do is instead do an exercise where we literally take a site and we go through a design process. And it can be about anything. So the whole idea behind this is to make it a generic site. This is, can you guys read that?
Negative.
Kind of? Okay, it's the intrigue, this awesome website. Okay? So we've got our navigation, we've got some content, we've got search. We'll take you through these things. So we have the search with filters right here. Search the intrigue. We've got world intrigue, we've got current intrigue, we've got political, Hollywood, intrigue in science and fashion, and blah, 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 okay? Personalization, welcome back, Tracy. Sign into your account. Tracking and memory, last time you were here, based on your last things, we thought you might like this. Our topics are what color does the intrigue come in? Does the intrigue have a smell? What do you do when the intrigue dies? How to find more other intrigue when you feel the intrigue, okay? Does anybody know what the intrigue is yet? Does it matter? Right.
It's like the thing on the highway, right?
Doesn't matter. You're offering intrigue, whatever the intrigue is. So this is your website. Now, intuitive offerings, here we go. This is based upon what you were last looking at the last time you were here. We've offered these things that we thought you might like. Okay? This website has kind of everything that a developer would build. It's pretty cool. It's got personalization, which flatters your user. It's got search, really, really nice advanced search. Lots of content, good navigation. Relevant call-out specials. You can feature things, which is, seasonal intrigue in the show. So, what do we do with this Craigslist style information. Because, right, you know, who's going to stay on that page? Unless you actually are on Craigslist. You know, we all stay on Craigslist because that's just a phenomenon of its own. So the first rule is location, low, organization, you know, sort of stop you take. Organize too. So what we do is we take this page with our Craigslist information and we want to put things where they go. We want to organize the content so that the user can get to it quicker. And here's what we have. We bucket things. We put things into areas and groups. We give them headlines. We have the intrigue. Branding, bigger. Put that out there. Also put it in the top left. Why? Because after 15 years, we know that everybody looks top left for branding. That's where it is. If it's anywhere else, it makes them a little queasy. It's just a thing. Navigation. Navigation can be one of two places, down the left or across the top. Again, put it somewhere else, people are lost. Headlines, decrease and increase to show priority. They go from the top of the page to the bottom of the page. All of that copy that you had on the previous design, shorten it, concise, small. Remember, they scan a couple of words and then they move on. Most important content, again, at the top, going to the bottom. Search using my own language with the filters. Again, they have different methods of finding the content on the site. Search is probably the most popular. Browsing by content offerings is the second one, actually depending upon the site. Some sites actually have this as a more popular. But you want to offer them this option. They can search for their own or they can browse what you're presenting to them. And then show me my stuff. A lot of people just want to get in and get to their account like your bank. Do I want to look up money markets or home loans? Maybe, but what I really want to do is sign into my account and pay bills. So those are your three user methods. So the second one is limit your fonts, not your voice. The fonts determine your personality. This is the same exact name in 6 different fonts. And this is how different a font can make you look. That first one, the entry at the top, looks a little AT&T-ish, right? It's because of the AT&T font. Moving down to the third one, on the left over here, the entry. This is called Papyrus. It's one of the most overused fonts in the entire world.
Which one?
This one.
The Avatar
Right
one.
here.
Oh, yeah.
This is the second one.
Comic
That
Sans?
is Comic Sans.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And it looks
Chili pepper.
silly. If this is a silly product and I want that, fine, you can use Comic Sans. But actually, I'd probably find something different anyway. Again, you want to find a font that suits your personality. I chose the fifth one, third down on the left, because it's big, it's bold, it has a little intrigue to it.
And it's compressed horizontally, which is, having headlines run off is just awful.
Exactly. So here's what we had before. We had everything in our buckets. We want to put some fonts in there. Oh, wait a minute. I picked that intrigue font. Yeah, this is a bad idea. We love our branding font. No, we don't love our branding font that much. Yeah, too much. 2 fonts, branding and information. You can have 3 fonts, but it's best never to go beyond that. Okay? We have the brand fonts. They convey a personality, believability. In this particular case, we have something grand and something trustworthy, because it's a very foundational, simple font, but it's got a little bit of prestige to it. We use our branding fonts for our headline, or maybe like not all of them, but one, big one, priority headline. Don't overuse them. Information fonts are simple, they're system fonts. There's not a lot of them. They've been chosen and put on every computer because they're really easy to read. They're basic, they're available. Text decoration shows some priority. We just changed. We look back at that last one. I suddenly have taken out text decorations. Put some bullets in the top ones, because those are kind of important. The underlines can be used for the lower ones. It shows that they're linked, but it also makes them a little bit harder to read. So the more important ones, you want to find a way to call them out. And if you have to use underlines, if it's what you choose to do, try to limit that to some things that are less priority.
Wouldn't you recommend not using underlines because of the confusion with links?
It really is, this is a perspective, sort of subjective choice. I've done sites where we did use underlines. I have done sites where we had hover underlines, and then I've done sites where we had no underlines. We use little icons. It's really about a subjective choice at that case, at that moment. So, but there are proper ways to do it, and then there are improper ways to do it. Okay, you need to see the lines to stay in them. It's like, your coloring book. If you don't have any lines, how do you know what you're coloring? So we've got this. We go to this. And it's really simple, but what we've done now is we've organized the page. If you'll look at the different zones, we'll call them zones on the page. On the left, here's what the user wants to see. They want to see what they can look at on the site. They want to see the branding. They want to see the navigation. This middle part, the main page, is what your business wants the user to see, what you are offering. It's the content that you have chosen to feature on the front page in the very center area and put that out there to your user. So, and then this area, the right column, is today's specials. Everybody's seen it on pretty much every site if there's the right rail. You've got ads. Sometimes it's ads for other sites. It's specials, it's marketing. Sometimes it's really annoying. Sometimes it's blinking and it's bold and it's red and it's horrible. So we call that today's specials. Everybody's seen a basic eye chart. This is my lowbrow, really loud way of doing it. This is how a customer's eye travels across your web page. So this is why these zones are in place. They hit your branding, they go down to your content, they go over to the left-hand navigation, and then they go back over to the right. Sometimes they never even make it that far. If they hit what they want to see using that path, they stop somewhere on that line. Colors count. Colors are super important. And I'm not talking about, clashing colors in fashion. I'm talking about personality and psychology behind colors. These are called foundational colors. They are solid, reliable, trust-inspiring, established. These are all things that these colors make you feel. You can use any color, any spectrum, as long as they're within this range of foundational tints and tones. They're kind of dark. They're kind of neutral, earthy. There are exceptions, of course, and they can also be used for other things, but generally, these rules apply to their foundational colors. Action colors, aggravating, dynamic, vibrating. They're very bright. You see these colors, and the first thing that you want to do is do something, because they agitate you. Look at your Burger King bag. What color is the logo?
Brown.
Really?
Wait.
It should be red and yellow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, red and yellow.
Red and yellow.
That one.
Okay.
So, there's a couple different ones.
Primary aggravating colors. Because when you're driving down the street and you might be a little bit hungry, you see these aggravating colors and they will take your hunger and they will aggravate you.
It's already aggravating.
Right. If it's already aggravating, now you're starving. So you go and you stop and you get food. Same thing here. We have a color that makes a person agitated and they want to do something. It inspires them to do something. We want them to click. Royal colors. These are not aggravating, but they're not foundational. They're somewhere in the middle. They're rich. They're elevated. They're special, honored, distinguished. They have a bit of value to them that's above and beyond the foundation colors, but not quite as aggravating as the action colors. These things are used in logos. These things are used in something that you want to add some prestige to. Hot pink women's shopping. It's really simple. We have been conditioned to this.
Is that a shade of Barbie paint?
Very, very good. Barbie's been around for how many decades? Yes.
5.
We have been
5 or 6.
programmed. It's really, really terrible. I'll show you an example at the end. It's amazing.
Is it bad that makes me want to go shopping?
No, that's awesome.
Hey man, we accept everybody here.
It's totally no judgment.
You know, alternative lifestyle program.
Women are going to react to this. They're either going to want to buy it or they're going to be like, I'm not buying that because it's pink. Doesn't matter, they're reacting. It's a trigger color. There are trigger colors out there. Same thing, camouflage for men. Same thing. So here's what we have, what we had before. Let's add some color to it. Royal colors for the logo. Promote prestige. You can also use foundational colors. Those promote trust. Foundation colors for the headlines. Add trust to the message. Royal colors in the headlines. These are for specials. They don't always have to be for the logos, but again, you can use them for something seasonal or what's hot. Again, it's how you choose to use them. As long as you can justify the way that you're using them, then it's fine. Warm spots in the background. Notice the navigation of these specials. They're slightly yellow. They draw the eye. The warm spot is a place that's going to pull your user. It's not aggravating, but it does, hey, what's that? Body background, gradient. Right now we have a gradient going from darker to light, top to bottom. It pushes it back, brings the content section of the website forward. It doesn't always have to be a gradient. It doesn't have to be any specific color. What it needs to be is quiet. And it needs to be background. And then background colors within the table add priority. The right rail actually is slightly gray, whereas the center rail is white. Brings the center area out further. The right rail, a little bit less priority. Okay, and our last rule is we need a hero. Know which rules to break. It's kind of the subtitle. This is what we have. It looks like a simple website still. We're getting there. This is what adding a hero can do for you. What's the intrigue?
A helmet?
Right, how'd you know that?
That's what my eyes were.
Right.
Yeah, because it's...
We just told you what it was with this simple picture. Okay? This entire website has been about a helmet this entire time, but you would never have known that. All right? I did a Google search on intrigue. Came up with a lot of cats. Decided that wasn't necessarily what I wanted the site to be about, right? But I found these helmets. I was like, yeah, it's cool. It's like a product we can offer. We can talk about technical specs and things like that. This is a site. You can build a website around something. The helmet's good. So, the graphic lends visual interpretation to every single thing on your site. So it doesn't matter if the person read any of that content before. They see this helmet. We're here for a helmet. Okay? Breaking the know which rules to break. I moved those two specials that were in the center column because as a business owner, I want you to see that. I needed room for that hero because it's big. And I want it to be big. So I moved those over to the right rail because they're kind of today's special. So knowing which rules to break. And then, of course, some things are going to fall below the fold. There's nothing you can do. Know which parts, know which content can fall below the fold. Wouldn't want to put the hero at the bottom.
So, does the hero actually stand for something? Because Twitter Bootstrap, they also have a hero unit, where it's, it takes up this big chunk right in the middle of your page, or wherever you put the hero unit.
Right.
And it's just, you mentioned it, is that?
It's a standard term. I have no idea. I
Just
don't.
says something as big and bold as right
Big
there
and
in your
bold,
face.
yeah. Think of your comic book and your hero with the cape crusader standing there. It's something that stands out front, leads the charge. Basically, if you saw a picture of a guy wearing a cape and a mask, you'd know, a superhero. So that's sort of where it originated. If it's an acronym, I do not know what it stands for.
Yeah, just curious.
That's okay. So, wait, missed the slide. Nope, I didn't, I'm sorry. So, Going back to the beginning, this is what we started with. Every bit of that content on this page is on this page, but you see the difference. And it's not like we did a lot of design work. It was mostly CSS styling and one image.
I also noticed you talked about the different tones of colors, but you never worried about how the different tones you chose all went together.
True.
Yeah.
Well, again, that is a totally different topic of color theory, but generally, you can sort of tell when colors clash when they don't.
Right.
Blues and browns go great. Pinks and greens might be a little risky, but you know, it depends on who you're designing for. Now, I promised you an example of hot pink, and it's really funny. So, let me pull up my browser to show you this. I have a horse.
Okay, every beverage
I
has a defrost.
needed some stable stuff, right?
You personally have a horse.
So I personally have a horse.
Sorry, I was.
So I go to this website because I love shopping online. So look at this, Jeffers Equine. It's all about horses. I needed some brushes. You know, it's a functional site.
Like CraigsList. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little red. But I know in particular that this company offers really great products with really good prices. I can get everything I need from here. My wormer, my supplements, my brushes, my saddles, my bridles, everything on this site is up, and it's really great stuff. So I needed some brushes, specifically. I needed some brushes, and I was like, hey, I'm looking. Where is it?
Hair care.
Blushes on the
Grooming kits and totes. Yeah, I could totally get a kit. That way I'm not, like a pre-packaged thing. That would be cool. Let's do that. Oh my goodness.
There it is.
Ooh, which one do I want?
It's NB's
Pink one.
ultimate.
Yeah.
It looks like my caboodle. If anybody from the 80s remembers what a caboodle is, right? So, what about that one? Black and tan. Who's that for? That's for my gentleman rider. These are things. Why would you make a brush hot pink? Other than to sell it to a woman.
Horse doesn't care.
Horse doesn't care. We are programmed to trigger off of these things. It doesn't matter what you're shopping for. Look at the computers that come in shades of pink with graphics on them. It's a computer. It's not a female product.
I would be embarrassed if any of the females in my family bought one of those.
Now I'm going to show you something else real quick.
Now I gotta get rid of my pink laptop.
I was gonna say, my buddy
Yes, you do.
got a laptop and decorated.
I just
everything
learned
pink.
it's wrong. I didn't know before.
This is one of my favorite sites, Duo Boots. Okay? We've got over here, search, lots of filters, really simple. I just plug in some sizes and it pulls up all the boots I could ever want. It's got these amazing pictures showing me the boots and the shoes, and these fashion models giving me these attitude, really simple.
And it's all in the right colors. And
It's
everything.
all in the right
Yeah,
colors. It's organized. It's got specials. It's got everything I'm interested in. It's got great navigation. It tells me exactly, it guides me through where I want to go. Unbelievably nice site. This is 2 brick and mortar stores in England. 2. That's it. It's not Walmart. This is a very small organization with a really, really nice website. You would think this would be something like Zappos to look at it.
Well, the other thing I think it works in the advantage of something like that is it's a very focused business.
It is.
Walmart is not. I mean, Walmart is a CraigsList. you
True,
know, so.
absolutely. But Zappos, a good example of comparison. It's a shoe store. They sell all the same things. They sell a lot more.
Yeah, they do.
But this is a slick professional website for a 2-store operation.
Yeah, that's true.
So, just an example of how, even though you have a small business, you do not have to have a small business design.
But I look at that website and I think those are probably, it may be a small business, but I would just say, just by looking at that, not knowing anything about it, it's high end.
Oh, absolutely. I've ordered 5 pairs of boots from them,
Yeah, very, very.
and they're not expensive.
Yeah.
I have very thin calves.
They were not expensive?
They were not expensive.
Oh, I would,
Not
that's what
at
I would
all.
think, you know. looking
You
at-
would. You would. You would think you're going to pay through the nose for these things, but no, they're
Or
really
you at
nice.
least get the impression you get the trust because you think, oh, this is a player in the field.
Exactly. You think,
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're talking about. You think high end, they're going to be quality boots. You think, wow, this is a big professional company. I can trust them to order something good and get my
And actually
product.
get
It's
it,
not. It's not an internet scam. Okay. It looks like it's been doing business for years. They've got their act together. Again, totally not true. I mean, it is true, but in such a smaller scale than what you expect. So.
Or how are we supposed to know that in 2 seconds? How do we make that assumption in 2
Right.
seconds?
You go into the About Us and
Yeah.
they give you their story, but you have to go into the About Us page to find out. I have personally ordered 5 pairs of boots for those companies. They do calf sizes and I have really skinny calves. So I buy American boots and I walk around like my calf is like a hammer and a bell.
Yeah.
Whereas, these actually fit.
Oh,
That's
those
it.
are from that place.
These are newer
Wow.
boots. So,
If your goal was to design a site that looks like an internet scam, okay, is that just a matter of breaking the rules that you've already listed? If you were to systematically break those rules, would you get to the ultimate internet
Untrustworthy
scams? Yeah,
scanning site.
untrustworthy.
right. Systematically breaking those rules, sure, yeah. What you might end up doing, though, is just confusing your user and scaring them away. Because there are some really good-looking internet scams out there, and it takes...
I was going to say the best
Want
thing
it,
would be
well,
to appear as
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Is to follow the rules and
Sure.
suck them in.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sort of curious about what cues people pick up.
I don't
in
think
this
it
site.
necessarily says internet scam as much as it just says bad designer. you know.
Or just
Yeah.
like bad store, so you don't
Yeah.
buy anything.
I want to...
My wife's taking a technical writing course at the U of A, and her assignment was to find a bad web page, which she found on the U of A website.
Ooh.
and then do a redesign and propose it and all of that stuff. That's part of the writing exercise. But she found something in the default font with a yellow background, and it's just, I couldn't believe it was on the U of A site. It's so hideous. It's probably been forgotten long ago.
I think this is the one that I saw previously. I'm looking for very quick.
How is designing for mobile impacting your you said for a decade you've learned all this stuff for the last 15 years and now everything's changing so fast.
Mobile is a different way of thinking, obviously. And you can't design a full spectrum web page for a mobile phone. You just can't. What you can do is you can interpret visually a lot of icons, talking about shortening and concising your content even more so. Simplification for mobile phone is really important. And I think also the competing platforms, as they compete very much like with our computers, they're getting closer and closer to each other. And we're in that early phase we were 15 years ago with the internet, where we are setting those rules up. They aren't set, though. It's important that you try new things. It's important that you learn what works and try to follow along. And mostly just keep it super simple. So, yep, this is it. Okay. I don't want to, down anybody's website, but this is the front page to a federal credit union, right here in town. You've got some navigation across the top, with some quick links in the right rail over here, like today's special. And you've got this sort of hero up there, but does it say bank? No, it says yoga class.
Yeah, I was wondering, what are the,
You got a
oh,
low,
those people?
that's a really expensive yoga class.
Oh, I
You need a
see, it's a
loan.
person.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Such a
And
wrong.
then I have a page full of text.
Yeah, you got a reading assignment there.
Right, I
don't you?
have a reading assignment. I don't have a bank.
Yeah.
It's not really clear. Where do I sign in? Where do I sign in to get to my account? Not really sure. Let's see, is it over here?
Is that their landing page?
That's their landing page. They think that you want to see about their loan rates first. So they put you on this loans. New vehicle loan discount. Okay, great. I'm looking at loans on the internet, which means I'm going to 5 or 6 different banks. That includes the big ones and my local small ones like Pima here. What am I doing? Am I reading 5 paragraphs of text about their loans? No, I'm looking for a little rate chart. Literally a table with loan percentage rate. Boom. I want to see it in 2 seconds, and I'm going to go compare it possibly in another tab to another bank. This page does not do that for me. So they have taken me to the loan page because they think I want to see about their loans, but then they haven't given me any loan information.
It's like their SEO guy won for this page design. Designer.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not a bad design. It's just not an accurate one.
It's not responsive at all either. I mean, it's overflowing and,
I think that might be
That's
the projector.
flowing
Yeah, the projector resolution
Yeah.
is pretty low.
So it didn't follow the rules, but it's not an internet scam. It's just a bad design.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. Any other questions?
I noticed you were talking about careful use of fonts, right?
Right.
Which has always been a nightmare for designers on the web. What are your comments just in general? Are you more adventurous with fonts these days because you can pull them from online libraries?
It's fun. That is really
or
fun.
do you just default to like what the default browsers offer, especially for the content part, and then bury all your fancy fonts in actual graphics?
No. Okay.
Yeah.
I do a lot of freelance work around town. I work with a lot of the musicians.
They want fancy fonts, I'm sure.
Not necessarily fancy fonts, but you can certainly get more creative. They have a lot. I mean, a musician is about his personality, his or her personality,
Right.
not just as a person, but also in their music.
Right.
Fonts are everything. You put their name up there, put the title of the album up there, whatever. Fonts are super fun. I love being really creative with them when I have the opportunity. I work for Intuit.
So you
That's
can,
my day job. Am I creative with fonts? No.
Imagine they have a style guide, but
They have a style guide. It
Right.
depends on your company. It depends on your customer that you're designing for. Are you allowed to be creative? If so, go nuts. If you're not allowed to be creative, then you need to be very, very, very careful with what you choose. Stay with something that reflects your customer.
right. And then what about reliability? Like does stuff come in like, oh, if you have your own server, then you can load all these font libraries and always render it properly. But
Correct.
if you don't, then we have to make other choices
Right.
of an environment you don't really control 100%.
Right. Always, it's a compromise. Yes, if you have your own server. Yes, if Google is up and running with the web fonts, because if you're ever using a third-party system like Google Web
Or
Fonts,
TypeKit. Or
type,
any
yeah,
of those,
exactly.
Yeah.
You are relying on them.
Right, and so it slows your site down and all that
Right.
stuff, right?
All I can say is generally what I try to do is I try to do 2 different designs, one with the fonts that I really want to use, and then ones with the system fonts to see how they default, see how things wrap.
Right.
It's really, really important when you're building your page. If your headline actually can't grab the web font, whatever system font doesn't mess the whole
Yeah,
page
right,
up.
exactly.
So choose one that lays about approximate to what you're doing with the web font.
Right. So you do that like as a matter of course for your customers?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, that's a matter of me too, because I also build the website. I do development and design.
Right,
And
Which,
it's
by the way, let's talk about that for a minute, because
Okay.
even the definition for that has changed, like what a designer is.
true.
Like, there's designers I hire, and they expect to hand me Photoshop files, and we're done.
Right.
Whereas my expectation is kind of morphed into, you hand me working markup. After we approve all the visual designs, done means the markup all works on the client side, and you hand it over, and that's done.
Right.
Do you have any comments on that?
It depends on the designer. Honestly, it depends on the designer that you're working with, what they say they can do.
Right, yeah.
For very many years in the industry, designers were simply Photoshop.
Right.
I'll design, I'll cut the graphics, and then I'll email you those, or
Right.
whatever. And over the years, certainly some percentage of those designers have gone into development. There was a time I was actually doing back-end development for a couple of years, ASP, and since that time, no, ASP, not ASP.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
we've been, this
Right.
crowd's been around for a while.
Right. Well, I'm just saying this dates me,
Yeah.
and I've spent the time since then trying to forget everything I knew.
Oh,
Okay? I love front end. I love markup. I love it. I specialize in custom templates for WordPress. So PHP, awesome, yay, woo. I'm comfortable in that.
Yeah, and so to me, like PHP, working client side, this is now the definition of a designer, you know.
2 points.
Or heading there quickly.
Still not there yet.
Yeah.
And we may never be there.
Uh-huh.
The simple fact is, how many types of developers are there?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? What do you develop? What do you develop? What do you develop? Everybody does something totally different, and you're not expected to know something else. Same thing. Designers are exactly the same way. You've got print designers, you've got branding designers, you've got website
Mobile
designers,
designers.
mobile designers. I was a Flash specialist.
Oh, I remember those.
So yeah, right. Remember that? Again, I date myself. Let's go in the Wayback Machine here. You know, I set up huge, massive Flash games and interactions and
Yeah,
stuff.
whole
Like,
sites that work in Flash.
whole sites. I did one whole site in Flash. I was like, oh, that was terrible.
That was misery.
But then I went into custom interactions that pulled from databases and parsed. I mean, I built my own parsing engines inside the Flash before there was things already available. You know, so that is development.
Yeah.
You know, that's not designer. But again, it really depends on who you're working with. There's such a rainbow of different avenues within the term designer or developer. Find out who you're working with, ask them what they can and want to do, and do that.
Right.
So is Flash really dead? I just haven't run across it for a while.
Seems
I
to be the
spent a
trend.
summer learning ActionScript and having a good time with it and all of that, and I haven't had to pick it up since, you know.
Yeah.
But then the iOS stuff came out,
Yeah, I think
You know,
that's
dissed
what's
it.
driving its downward spiral.
and so it's diving into the ground.
Seems
But
to be
I
the
can't
trend.
say anything's dead yet, you know? Can anyone really say that?
It won't, Apple, the iPhone cannot use it.
Right,
So
now
right
iPad
there,
and so forth, right?
It's
So HTML5 will replace it eventually, right?
eventually,
That's
but
the idea.
HTML5 will have to become a lot more robust if they're going to replace it.
And the value proposition has really changed with Flash. So 3 years ago, you could build something in Flash and run on 99% of all devices, and now it's running on like 90% maybe. And so you're going to 10% of users are going to have a bad experience if you only have Flash. So it's shifting, and it's a lot different than it was 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like another presenter here said, by next year, mobile devices, well, there'll be more mobile devices by which you can access the internet than traditional laptops, netbooks, and so forth.
Wow.
So if you don't see Flash on those, it's just a numbers game, right?
No.
Yeah.
It's really about the user. Every single thing in this game comes down to the user. What do they have? What are they using? What do they want? You can build the most amazing thing, but if you don't have a user to look at it, it's meaningless.
Good point.
So, some of the best sites are
Works on
hidden.
my machine, though.
Right. Some of the best sites are hidden and never taken to. So, okay. Anybody else? All right. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Great.
And it'll be on
And
the
we did get the trash one site. Woo!
it'll be on the video too.
Okay.